The 2023 All-Stars are here, but they appear to be missing something. Red Sox players. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and over this last weekend, the official full roster for the 2023 All-Star Game has been announced, and kind of surprisingly, the Boston Red Sox only had one selection, Kenley Jansen. Now, this may come as a surprise to some of you guys, but just because the Red Sox are playing very average baseball right now does not mean that there aren't guys on this team that do deserve an All-Star nod. So, what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break down why the Red Sox were so poorly represented in this 2023 All-Star Game. We're going to talk about why some guys probably should have made it, and we're going to talk about some of the reasons why these guys didn't make it. But before we get into that, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. So let's start by talking about just the one selection that did make it overall and why that's significant. It's the first time since 2019 that there is not a single Red Sox starter in the MLB All-Star Game, and it's also the first time since 2015 when Brock Holt was selected to an All-Star Game that there's only one representative right now for the Boston Red Sox. And I think the biggest reason for this is how the Red Sox have played so far this year, right? They have been mostly for the entire year painfully average, right? They haven't been anything insane. They haven't been the worst team in baseball. They've just sort of been there for most of this season. And I think for a lot of Red Sox fans, a part of Red Sox Nation, have sat there and said, why am I going to push a player into the All-Star Game when this team's been painfully average, right? It feels like fans don't really have an incentive to really push these players into the All-Star Game right now because of the Red Sox overall record. So in my opinion, why the Red Sox were poorly represented has a lot to do with their record so far this year, but that doesn't mean there weren't guys who were worthy of possibly becoming an All-Star, and one of those players is Rafael Devers. Now, Devers has had a down year in terms of what Rafi normally does, but overall, he still kind of does have the numbers to be an All-Star. If you compare him to some of the players who made the reserves, like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., one of the 3 Toronto Blue Jays selected to be an All-Star reserve, Rafael Devers has a higher slugging percentage, has a higher total OPS, he has 8 more home runs, 14 more RBIs, and he has a higher total WAR as well as a higher WAR defensively. Now, Vladdy was selected as a backup infielder. Rafael Devers has better numbers overall than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. so far this year outside of average and on-base percentage. Another Blue Jays player that was selected was Whit Merrifield. Now, compared to Rafael Devers, again, with Rafi having a down year, Rafi still has a higher slugging percentage, OPS plus. He has 18 more home runs than Whit Merrifield. He has 36 more RBIs, more doubles. He has a higher overall B-WAR and a higher offensive WAR as well as a higher defensive WAR. And really, in general, Rafael Devers is better than 2 of the reserves in the infield for the AL All-Star Game. Now, I think one of the biggest reasons why Rafael Devers wasn't selected for the All-Star Game is because the standard for Rafael Devers is super high, right? Individually speaking, this is one of the worst years of Rafael Devers' career, and I think that really kind of drags down how well he's performed compared to the rest of Major League Baseball, right? If you're looking at individual stats, it's a down year, but if you look at him over the entire AL, it's still a fairly decent year, and I think that's the biggest reason why fans weren't fully behind Rafael Devers, and then he officially wasn't selected to the All-Star team. Now, another guy who was kind of robbed of an All-Star selection was Chris Martin. So far this year, Chris Martin has a 1.73 ERA over 27 appearances with a 2.70 ERA plus. That is 170% better than the average reliever in baseball with a 2.45 FIP. He has better stats than the player that did get selected to the All-Star Game, Kenley Jansen. Now, the biggest reason why Chris Martin wasn't selected for the All-Star Game is because it's really difficult for middle relievers or really anyone but a closer to make an All-Star All-Star team. The All-Star team's about big names, it's about big time achievements and stuff like that, and saves and save opportunities, and being the closer of a big market baseball team has more pull than it does a guy who comes in the 8th inning. And whether that's fair or not is a different story, but in my opinion, that is by far and away the biggest reason why Chris Martin wasn't selected. Another reason why Chris Martin may have been bumped off the bullpen arms in the All-Star game is because he does have a lot less appearances than a lot of players who were selected. It mainly had to do with the time he spent on the IL at the beginning of the season, but when we're looking at Chris Martin's overall numbers and we're talking about bullpen arms that should represent the Boston Red Sox, Chris Martin seemed like the perfect guy. Again, it's just really difficult, and unfortunately for Chris Martin, it's almost impossible for middle relievers to make an All-Star team over a bunch of closers. The third guy you probably could have made a case for being in the All-Star game was Masataka Yoshida. So far this year, Masataka Yoshida has a slash line of a 305 average, a 377 on base percentage, and a 477 slug for an 854 OPS. He also has 9 home runs, 17 doubles, and 41 RBIs. Now, if you compare him to most of the guys who were selected for the outfield in Major League Baseball, specifically the AL, he does fall a little bit when it comes to slugging percentage, so that could be one of the reasons why, but overall, he is better in almost every single category than AL All-Star selection Austin Hayes of the Baltimore Orioles. So he is better than one of the players in the reserves currently for the AL All-Star team, so he probably could have made an All-Star game if you're comparing him to Austin Hayes. Now, the problem with Masataka Yoshida so far this year has been defense, right? He hasn't been overall a very good defender metric-wise, right? I don't think any Red Sox fans are sitting here going, oh my god, a ball was hit to Masataka Yoshida, is even going to make a play. But overall, when we're talking about outfield defense, Masataka Yoshida ranks as one of the worst in baseball, and that drags his total WAR down. So if you're comparing him to the other selections of the MLB All-Star team, his WAR just doesn't compete because it's all offensively, right? All of his positive WAR is coming offensively, and it's really being dragged down by his defense. So in my opinion, the biggest reason why Masataka Yoshida wasn't selected to an All-Star team was because of the fact that his defense just simply wasn't up to par. For Masataka Yoshida to be a clear outfield selection, he has to really perform offensively, and I think his numbers at the beginning of the year really dragged that down. If you don't include April, Masataka Yoshida is one of the best outfield hitters in baseball, but you're looking at overall in terms of the entire first half of the season, Masataka Yoshida just didn't do enough offensively to allow himself to be selected to the All-Star team. Now again, this is probably a guy we're going to see in an All-Star uniform a couple of times in his Red Sox tenure now that he's adjusted to Major League pitching, but I think for the first year it does kind of make sense he wasn't selected. But if we're talking about robberies on this Red Sox team that probably could have been an All-Star, Masataka Yoshida definitely could have snuck in, especially over guys like Austin Hayes. But there is one Red Sox outfielder who got absolutely robbed, who definitely should be in this year's All-Star game, and his name is Alex Verdugo, because Alex Verdugo right now is a top 5 outfielder in Major League Baseball. He's currently tied for 4th amongst all AL outfielders in average. He is currently 5th amongst AL outfielders in on base percentage, 9th in OPS, 1st in doubles, 1st in hits, 2nd in triples, and he's tied for 3rd in total WAR amongst AL outfielders. On top of that, something that I really love about Alex Verdugo's game so far this year is he's tied for 1st in total defensive WAR for right fielders in Major League Baseball. His defense has improved incredibly, right? That is one of the best right fielders in Major League Baseball based on WAR, and Alex Verdugo has been fantastic on both sides of the ball. The fact that he wasn't in the top 20 All-Star vote getters for the outfield in total is absolutely insane, right? He wasn't even top 20th in votes in the AL outfield race. That's absolutely crazy. And again, I think a big part of that is the fact that Red Sox fans just didn't feel like the Red Sox had done enough to say, hey, yeah, these guys are definite All-Stars. We're going to vote for these guys. We're going to push these guys in, because Red Sox Nation has the capacity to do that. We've seen that in the past, but with the way the Red Sox have been playing this year, it kind of does make sense that fans were like, maybe next year, right? Maybe next year, if he has another good year and the Red Sox are winning, I'll be, one, paying more attention to this team, and 2, I'll be more inclined to vote some of these guys in. Now, a bigger part of this, in my opinion, is just simply name recognition in the AL, right? It sucks for AL outfielders right now is that if you have a good year, you're still competing with guys like Mike Trout, like Aaron Judge, like Yordan Alvarez, like Randy Arozarena, who have a lot more household name recognition. When you're talking about a fan vote throughout the entire United States, every single year, it's probably you could probably pencil in Mike Trout for being an all-star starter and Aaron Judge for being an all-star starter. So you're competing with one singular spot in the outfield, and these guys are also competing against guys with bigger names like Luis Robert, like Yordan Alvarez, like Randy Arozarena, like Adolis Garcia, who have put together really solid years and who have a better name recognition. So for Alex Verdugo, it just seems really, really difficult to be able to even make an all-star team to begin with, regardless of statistics, just simply based on name recognition alone, because it's not just Red Sox Nation voting on these, it's the entire country and most of Canada as well. That's why we always see Toronto Blue Jays representatives. But if we're talking purely based on statistics, the fact that Alex Verdugo wasn't voted in over guys like Austin Hayes is absolutely absurd in my opinion. This is by far and away the biggest snub. Now, it is still possible for Alex Verdugo to make an all-star team. Yordan Alvarez is hurt and Aaron Judge is hurt, as well as Mike Trout was taken out of the game yesterday, so there may need to be some replacements on the AL roster, which could allow Alex Verdugo to sneak into this all-star team. But the fact that he wasn't simply voted in or selected by the panel, in my opinion, is by far and away the biggest snub for the Red Sox in 2023. And that's all the guys that I think had a case to be an AL All-Star that simply did not get selected. Again, I think it had a lot to do with Red Sox fans just simply not wanting to vote these guys in. Name recognition's another part of this, but overall, this was a really rough year for Red Sox All-Star selection. So let me know in the comment section down below, is there anyone besides Kenley Jansen that you feel deserves to be an All-Star? Do you think the Red Sox got robbed like I did, or do you think this is fair? Do you think that the Red Sox didn't really deserve to have any other All-Stars? So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the Red Sox being robbed of the 2023 All-Star game. Let me know all your thoughts. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.